You're standing in a boardroom, 30 pairs of eyes locked on you. Your heart's pounding, your hands are trembling, and the new CEO, some smug, silver spoon-fed suit who's never worked a day in his life, leans forward, smirks, and calls you dead weight, in front of everyone. The room goes silent. Your face burns, but you don't cry. You don't scream. You just smile, because in that moment you make a decision. You're not just going to get even. You're going to win. This is the story of a woman who was humiliated, underestimated, and discarded, but came back to deliver a masterclass in cold, calculated revenge. By the time she was done, she didn't just take down the man who mocked her. She took the one thing his entire company needed to survive. Stick around, because this one's going to leave you speechless. If you've ever been disrespected, underestimated, or just plain wronged and dreamed of, serving up some ice-cold justice, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and let's dive into one of the most satisfying revenge stories you'll ever hear. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss a single second of this. Let's rewind to 2013. Meet Elena Voss, mid-30s, sharp as a tack with a mind that could untangle the naughtiest problems, and a work ethic that put everyone else to shame. Elena wasn't born with a silver spoon. No trust fund, no fancy connections. She grew up in a small industrial town, the kind where the air smells faintly of rust and ambition. Her dad was a mechanic, her mom a school teacher. They taught her one thing above all else: work hard, and you'll earn your place. Elena took that to heart. She clawed her way through college on scholarships and late-night diner shifts, earning a degree in logistics and supply chain management. By 2013, she'd landed a job at Ether Dynamics, a mid-sized tech company that built cutting-edge renewable energy systems. Think solar panels, wind turbines, and battery tech that could power entire cities. Ether wasn't a household name yet, but it was on the cusp of something big. And Elena? She was the backbone of their operation. See, Ether's tech was only as good as its supply chain. Without a steady flow of rare earth metals, semiconductors, and precision components, their factories would grind to a halt. Elena was the logistics manager who made it all work. She wasn't just good at her job, she was irreplaceable. She built relationships with suppliers across 3 continents. She negotiated contracts that saved millions. She designed a tracking system so efficient it cut delivery times by 30%. Colleagues called her the wizard behind her back, not because she was flashy, but because she made the impossible happen. Every single time. But here's the thing about being indispensable. Sometimes the people at the top don't even notice you. They're too busy chasing headlines or patting themselves on the back. And that's exactly where this story takes a turn. In early 2024, Ether Dynamics got a new CEO. His name was Marcus Hale, and let's just say, he wasn't hired for his brains. Marcus was the nephew of the company's founder, a man who'd retired and handed the reins to his sister's kid. Marcus was 42, tall, with slicked back hair and a smile that screamed, "I've never been told no." He had an MBA from some Ivy League school, but his real resume was nepotism. He'd spent his career bouncing between cushy executive roles, never staying long enough to leave a mark, but always collecting a fat paycheck. Elena didn't care at first. She wasn't here to kiss up to the C-suite. Her job was keeping the supply chain humming, and she did it better than anyone. But Marcus? He had other plans. From day one, he strutted into Ether like he owned the place, not just figuratively, but like he thought he was the company's savior. He'd interrupt meetings to lecture about disrupting the industry, tossing around buzzwords like synergy and vertical integration without understanding what they meant. Employees rolled their eyes, but they played along. After all, Marcus was the boss. Elena first met him during a supply chain briefing. She was presenting her team's plan to streamline shipments from a new supplier in South Korea. Halfway through her slide deck, charts and numbers, meticulously prepared, Marcus cut her off. "Elena, right? Look, I don't need a PowerPoint to tell me how to run a company. Let's keep this high level, okay? Big picture, vision stuff." The room went quiet. Elena's jaw tightened, but she nodded, forcing a polite smile. Inside, she was seething. Big picture? She was the one making sure his vision didn't crash and burn when a delayed shipment left their factories idle. But she let it slide, for now. Fast forward to October 2024. Ether Dynamics was preparing for a major product launch, a next-gen solar panel that could revolutionize the industry. The stakes were high. Investors were watching. The press was circling, and Elena's supply chain was the linchpin. She'd spent months securing a rare cobalt alloy for the panels, navigating trade restrictions and outbidding competitors. It was her system, her baby, that made this launch possible. The executive team gathered for a final strategy meeting in Ether's sleek, glass-walled boardroom. 30 people filled the room. VPs, directors, investors, and Marcus, perched at the head of the table like a king on a throne. Elena was there to present her logistics plan. She stood at the front, her voice steady, her slides crisp. She explained how her team had locked in suppliers, cut costs, and ensured every component would arrive on time. The investors were nodding, impressed. Then Marcus leaned forward, his lips curling into a smirk. Mimic his condescending tone. Hold on. Elena, let's not bore everyone with the details. I mean, logistics. It's just moving boxes, right? You're making it sound like rocket science. A few executives chuckled nervously. Elena froze. Her heart thudded in her chest, a dull, heavy beat. She felt the heat creeping up her neck, her palms clammy against the clicker in her hand. But Marcus wasn't done. He turned to the room, his voice louder now, dripping with disdain. Honestly, folks, I've been looking at the numbers. Our logistics department is bloated. Overstaffed, overpaid, dead weight, really. We could probably outsource the whole thing and save a fortune. The room went silent. 30 pairs of eyes darted. Between Marcus and Elena, she felt their stares like needles. Her mind raced. Dead weight? She'd spent 12 years building Ether's supply chain from scratch. She'd worked nights, weekends, holidays. She'd missed her niece's baptism to fix a supplier snafu in Taiwan. And this was her reward? Elena didn't cry. She didn't shout. She just stared at Marcus, her eyes like steel. Is that all, Mr. Hale? She asked, her voice calm but sharp enough to cut glass. Marcus waved a hand dismissively. Yeah, we're done here. Next item. She walked out of the boardroom, her heels clicking on the polished floor, each step echoing in her mind like a war drum. She didn't go back to her desk. She didn't even collect her things. She went straight to her car, sat behind the wheel, and gripped it so hard her knuckles turned white. Inside, a storm was brewing. Not tears, not despair, fury, cold, calculated fury. In that moment, Elena made a choice. She wasn't going to beg for respect. She wasn't going to prove herself to a man who didn't deserve her. She was going to make him regret ever opening his mouth. Elena resigned the next day. Her letter was short, professional, no hint of the fire burning inside her. She didn't owe them an explanation. She'd given Ether 12 years of her life, 12 years of loyalty, sweat and brilliance, and in return, Marcus had spat in her face. But walking away didn't mean giving up. Elena wasn't the type to curl up and lick her wounds. She spent the first week at home, not sulking, but thinking. She poured herself a glass of wine each night, sat at her kitchen table, and stared at a blank notebook. Her mind churned. She replayed Marcus's smirk, his words, the laughter in that boardroom. Dead weight. The phrase echoed like a taunt. Meanwhile, Marcus was making a mess at Ether. Word got back to Elena through old colleagues. He was pushing for flashy, impractical changes, new branding, a glitzy ad campaign, even a private jet for executive travel. But the supply chain? He ignored it. He outsourced parts of it to a cheap, untested firm in Eastern Europe, boasting it would cut costs. The result? Delays, missing shipments, faulty components. The solar panel launch was slipping, and investors were getting nervous. Elena's former team was miserable. They'd been her family at Ether, and now they were drowning under Marcus's incompetence. One night, her old deputy Sam called her. Imitate Sam's frustrated tone. Elena, it's a disaster. The new logistics firm can't even track a pallet of screws. We're 3 weeks behind. And Marcus just yells about thinking outside the box. He doesn't get it. You were the glue. Elena listened, her jaw tight. She didn't say much, but her mind was racing. Marcus thought logistics was just moving boxes. He thought her work was disposable. Fine, she'd show him exactly how wrong he was. One evening, Elena was scrolling through industry news when she stumbled across an article about Voltline Logistics, a mid-size company that handled 60% of Ether's supply chain. Voltline was struggling. Bad management, rising debt, and a recent lawsuit had tanked its stock price. But its assets were solid. Warehouses, contracts, a network of suppliers. Elena's heart skipped a beat. She knew Voltline inside and out. She'd worked with them for years. If she could control Voltline, She could control Ether's lifeline. The idea hit her like a lightning bolt. It wasn't just revenge, it was poetry. Marcus had called her dead weight. She'd buy the one thing his company couldn't survive without. She'd make him choke on his own words. But there was a problem. Elena wasn't rich. She had savings, decent, but not by a company money. Voltline's market cap was still in the tens of millions. Even with its stock in the gutter, she'd need investors, a plan, and a whole lot of nerve. And that's when Elena got to work. Elena spent the next 3 months in a whirlwind. She didn't sleep much. Her apartment became a war room. Papers strewn across the dining table, coffee cups piling up, her laptop glowing late into the night. She reached out to old contacts, suppliers she'd charmed, bankers she'd impressed, even a venture capitalist she'd met at a conference years ago. She pitched her vision. Take over Voltline. Turn it around and dominate the logistics game. Her pitch was simple but brutal. Ether Dynamics is bleeding, she'd say, her voice steady, her eyes burning with conviction. Their new CEO is running it into the ground. Their supply chain is collapsing. Voltline is their lifeline, and it's for sale. I know how to fix it. I built Ether's system. Give me the reins and we'll own the market. She was relentless. She flew to New York, Chicago, London, pitching to anyone who'd listen. She didn't just sell numbers. She sold a story. A story of a woman who'd been discarded but was coming back stronger. Investors ate it up. By January 2025, she'd secured $45 million in funding, enough to buy a controlling stake in Voltline. But Elena wasn't just buying a company. She was laying a trap. She worked with Voltline's board to restructure the company. She fired incompetent managers, renegotiated supplier contracts, and upgraded their tracking software using her own designs. Within weeks, Voltline was leaner, faster, and more reliable than ever. Ether didn't notice. Marcus was too busy posing for magazine covers. But Elena was ready. In March 2025, she made her move. Voltline informed Ether that their contract was under review. Prices would triple unless Ether agreed to new terms. Terms that gave Voltline unprecedented control over delivery schedules and payment timelines. Ether had no choice. Without Voltline, their factories would shut down. Marcus signed the contract, oblivious to who was pulling the strings. The final act came in April 2025. Ether Dynamics was hosting its annual shareholder meeting, a glitzy event at a downtown hotel. Marcus was set to give a keynote speech, boasting about the solar panel launch, which was still limping along, thanks to his mismanagement. Elena got herself an invite, not as an Ether employee, but as the new CEO of Voltline Logistics. She walked into the hotel ballroom, her heels clicking with purpose. She wore a tailored black suit, her hair swept back, her expression unreadable. The room buzzed with executives, investors, and reporters. Marcus was at the podium, mid-speech, droning on about revolutionary innovation. Elena stood at the back, arms crossed, waiting. Then came the Q&A. An investor stood up, asking about Ether's supply chain issues. Marcus laughed it off. Logistics? It's under control. We've got the best partners in the game. Voltline's locked in tight. Elena stepped forward. The room turned. Whispers rippled. Marcus squinted, confused. She raised a hand, her voice clear and sharp. Actually, Mr. Hale, I'd like to clarify something. Voltline Logistics is no longer just a partner. We're the ones holding your leash. The room went dead silent. Marcus's face froze, his smirk fading. Elena continued, her words like daggers. You see, I'm the new CEO of Voltline, and as of last week, we own 60% of your supply chain. Every component, every shipment, every dollar you spend, it goes through me. You called me dead weight once, remember? In front of 30 executives. She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. Marcus's face turned red, then pale. The room was electric, every eye on him. Elena's voice dropped, cold and final. You should have checked who you were insulting before you opened your mouth. Because now, I'm the one thing your company can't survive. Without, the investors gasped. A few clapped. Marcus stammered, trying to save face, but the damage was done. Elena turned and walked out, her head high, leaving chaos in her wake. By the next week, Ether's stock was tanking. Marcus was on thin ice with the board. And Elena? She was just getting started. Voltline's profits soared, and she was already eyeing her next acquisition. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about justice. Elena didn't just take down Marcus, she proved something to herself and to the world. Never underestimate someone who's been pushed too far. Because when the quiet ones strike back, they don't just win. They rewrite the game. What do you think? Was Elena's comeback the ultimate power move, or did she go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this story gave you chills or just made you want to. Cheers, smash that like button and let us know in the comments. What's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen or heard about? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a story like this. We've got more epic tales of justice coming your way. Until next time, keep fighting the good fight.